Right, our guest speaker is Haifele Treasure Meko, who is the founder and CEO of Unlimited Treasure and GT Treasure Lives Foundation, part-time lecturer, a mentor, and a coach. A dynamic leader fueled by a passion for excellence, lifelong learning, and a teachable spirit. With a career spanning over a decade, she transitioned from a software engineer in 2008 to excelling in diverse technical and business leadership roles. The divisions she led and her areas of expertise include project management, process re-engineering, robotic process automation / artificial intelligence, innovation and transformation, organizational development, corporate social investment, employee engagement, and wellness. Formerly with Accenture for 7 years and Ernst & Young for 2 years, she left her position as an associate director in 2017 to dedicate herself fully to entrepreneurship and making meaningful impact through her venture. A multi-skilled transformationalist, she is deeply committed to empowering people and leveraging technology to drive innovation and change. She is also a coach and global part-time lecturer in executive development, IT, which is information and technology, and fourth industrial revolution, with experience in South Africa and global institutions. Ladies and gentlemen, without any waste of time, I give you Haifele Treasure Meko.
Thank you, sir.
Over to you.
Dumelang. How are you doing? Are we well today? Yes. Okay. How are you doing this side? You are good? Okay. Your day is about to end, I heard, and thank you very much for making the time here today. We're going to make it fun and educational. Hopefully you'll have a whole lot of questions after. We're talking about something very interesting for IR and how it's changing industries. Gone are the days where I see there's a full room. Most of you are grade 11, matric. Yeah, so you are about to make very important choices in your life, and I think today is very important because as you prepare to choose these courses, you should also just not choose for the sake of, because we know that there's a lot of unemployment as well, right? Thank you so much. I hope at the back we are fine. I do have a bit of echo. And also, let's just welcome those who are streaming online. Thank you very much for making this time. We are with very exceptional young people in this room. Can you clap hands for the people who are online as well? Woo-hoo! Thank you. Can we clap even more for yourselves in the room? Thank you so much. Can someone indicate for me if you are okay online? You will be okay. All right. Thank you so much. If you're online, just be a bit patient. We'll be done. Just to relax you a bit, you were saying there was a lot that was read, right? But at some point, it doesn't mean that I'm anyway of a superhero. At some point, I was also sitting right where you are sitting. I'm from the villages in Zerust. There's a village called Lobatla that most of you don't even know about. And I'm from there. The first time I came across a computer was actually when I was already in tertiary. Not even, as I was sitting here, imagine me sitting here now. I never sat here basically. You guys have the opportunity to sit here at grade 11, grade 12 and more. I never had the opportunity to do that. The first time I touched a computer, it was really in tertiary. So clap hands for yourself for doing so well and teaching yourself this thing. So don't worry about anything. It means one day, few years later, many years later, you're also going to be standing here, or even if not here, somewhere else making a difference, right? Well done already. So I have already been introduced. I'm from this company. Thank you so much. That's what we do in the organization that I work for. It's called Unlimited Treasure. We assist organizations and individuals mainly through strategy, training, and transformation. So this is what we do: design thinking for our training workshops. Like, this is a subset of our training side. So you're going to go through a mini training so that you understand what this is about. And for you to understand more in terms of how we get here, we can talk about it more. I'm also cognizant of the time, so we can talk about more of this and what they mean. Your data, when we talk about robotics, data and analytics, design thinking, innovation and workshops, those are some of the things that one day you will be doing. So we are gathered here today to talk about how 4IR is shaping the future of science and technology. How many of you want to be scientists or technologists? Anyone wants to be an engineer, a scientist, a technologist? Okay, many of you. Otherwise, I'm going to ask some of you, what do you want to be? Right? But it's fine, it's a part of that. I do see that there's more people who would want to become that. What does it really mean? Let's get into this 4IR and how it's changing things. So normally we hear people talking about 4IR, and I'm a part-time lecturer as well, so sometimes I can ask questions. For today, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to get right into it, and at the end, you can ask questions. So feel free to keep jotting down questions here and there. I'll take them at the end. The fourth industrial revolution. I just want to say to you, as you're sitting here today, and most of you will be making some of those choices about courses and what you want to become, the fourth industrial revolution is not IT, right? And IT is a good enabler of it, but it's very important that everybody understands that the revolution is going to impact them. The fourth industrial revolution, everybody needs to know about it. Whether you do HR, there's something that 4IR is going to do to change your life. Whether you think of doing agricultural sciences, engineering sciences. So basically, even in South Africa, we're not very much fully on 4IR. We still have some aspects of the second and the third. Because if you check, you realize that in the late 1700s, it says that these pictures sometimes are done based on overseas where they are advantaged. But if you look into the 1980s, for example, where it talks about 3, the number 3, you will see that we're talking about a digital revolution, and that is 3IR. There's still a stronger aspect in South Africa of us being in 3IR, even more than 4IR. And then 4IR now is where we are seeing technology becoming very embedded in society, the human body. There are innovations like robotics, 3D, and those are some of the exciting ones that I'm going to share with you today. So just understand that you are still somewhat in 3IR. Actually, in South Africa, we are more in 3IR than we are in 4IR. But some of us are working hard to make sure that we really start experiencing more of this 4IR, even at your level. Why does it matter? It's impacting everything. And for you as the learners, and for you online as well, as especially parents and more learners, and maybe even working. There are jobs today that were not there a long time ago. There were jobs that when I was studying at university, you wouldn't hear someone being called an AI specialist. Even now, of course, we need to just acknowledge the fact that we do have a South African context, and you may not go to university even today and just hear about a complete course in our traditional universities that is saying AI specialist or become this. Sometimes, yes, it's through computer science or it is just a module, but we are forever challenging our government and the private sector that we work together and make sure that we even make our education much more relevant. So you will see things around smart healthcare and everyday convenience. So it's very important that we do some of these things. So, for example, artificial intelligence, that's machines that learn and make decisions. At some point when we were starting, we were talking about RPA, robotic process automation, which is more around the repetitive rules, anything that repeats. For example, you are going to be applying this year. More than 5 years ago, when people were applying, they had to go print the form, write with their hands, and have to deliver it there. And so that whole process has, for most institutions, has been digitized. After it was digitized, you could now go online and maybe do an online application. But not only that, where RPA comes in is where it makes the life better, that whatever you then filled, a system is able to quickly take that information, especially things that are repetitive like name, surname, it inputs it somewhere on the university systems, and some level of work can be done to reduce the workload from the people who are working at the university. Another level of that then becomes where AI comes in and it can now start doing some things that is coming with things like machine learning and NLP, and those things when the bot takes certain things, NLP then changes it, and there's all sorts of technologies now that assist that. That is why we are able to see, for example, when you apply, most of the institutions are able to offer these online applications. That's because technology is improving. The robotics, I have some examples that I'll show you here together with Internet of Things so that you practicalize it. Any of these things being offered in your schools? No. Okay, that's fine. And it's one of those things that we all need to work towards, even as you choose very well so that we keep making sure that our education gets better and better and better. Because this is what is happening. If you go to other countries, for example, I was in China late last year, it's the way of life. Like, I remember visiting a certain high school. They have it. They are doing it, whether it's AI or robotics or VR, it's their way of life, and they can even talk about it more than many people. They start learning it at an early age. So we are on that journey, for example, as Unlimited Treasure, we are on that journey of bringing that practical training that can teach you these things from a very much earlier age than when you get to work. So some of you want to be chemists, but the main thing about this is we need to understand that robots are not necessarily only coming to take people out. It's very important. That is why we need you to study. That is why we need strategic people who will think about these things, who are going to come and say, there is a process whereby people are in a workshop and they are painting. And this paint is hurting their lungs. It's impacting their health. In the long term, these people are going to do hazardous things like that, and the people can do other things. If you are in the workshop screwing in a noisy area and there's that, that noise that happens when you screw, especially in these big workshops, how about that role is been given to a bot? And also you are saving a human being's ear or the ears. Because we have had in the past about some of these examples where people were working on some companies or in some mines, and over time their lungs are damaged or some organs are damaged, is because we didn't have the technology to assist them. But with the new technologies, it's very possible. So these are just some of the ways. And remember, you may be going to study automotives, you may be going to study engineering, you may be going to study in various fields. It's up to you to then know that if you don't teach yourself about these things, they are going to hire someone else who knows and can bring more value to the organization than someone who just thinks they must do everything the same way it was done many years ago. So it's important that you teach yourself about these things. When you do physics, you deal with lies as well, right? So you do see how technology can come in. For example, we are paying so much money. There's a complaint about ESCOM and lights. So some of these things, you can leverage these technologies to make sure that these lights don't have to be on the whole day. I know that for as long as you've been here, they've been on. Of course, right now it's necessary for them to be on because we are here. But we have so much wastage because we are not using these technologies. It's as easy as saying be on between this time and this time and be off in between this time and this time. But from the examples that you're looking at, it's actually artificial intelligence being used to do these things. The air cons as well. It is very possible to use the sensors, artificial intelligence, to say when the room is like this, and IoT, there's also something called IoT, Internet of Things. When the room is feeling a certain way, then you can switch on the aircon. Otherwise, don't. And of course, there is coding behind these things. That is why sometimes people link for IR to IT and computer science. But in advanced countries where coding and robotics are done as a basic subject from primary onwards, then they understand that you just need to know those things, but go and implement it in any other industry. Because we can't all go and study computer science. But we had our country talking about smart city, especially our city of Joburg. But to do that, we also still, that's why 4IR differs from 3IR. We're still just struggling with things like data, right? So there are strong aspects of IoT that's because it's Internet of Things. So that element of Internet in our country is the part we also still need to sort out so that we can use IoT in very advanced ways. I want to break it down for you so that you see different things that you can end up doing, right? So there's something called a process engineer. Write these things down, so when you get on the internet later, when you Google or when you go to ChatGPT, ask it about some of these things, because these are the critical skills that are also needed. They are what we call automation business analysts, and there's what we call business process engineers, right? So in the beginning, imagine this process. Before, someone used to go to that restaurant, take whatever you ordered, let's say it's a drink, and they walk to the left, then they go to the room, they knock, room service, and then you take your thing, and then later on they'll come and get that. A business process engineer was needed. Firstly, the strategic people were needed to say, is it really important for a person to be going up and down, sometimes using the steps, sometimes using the lift, which is using a lot of electricity, if a person keeps going down too many times, but also this person, the knees, they're being tired, the other things that this person could be doing other than just going up and down to deliver food. Is it necessary, or could it be helped? The strategic people sit around the room. There are boardrooms in the offices that you're going to sit on one day, and they decided that, you know what, this is not important. Those are your strategic minds. One day, some of you may be strategists in different areas. It's very those are the thinkers. It's very important that we understand that with these technologies, we need more thinkers. So as you go out there and study, don't only study to set yourself low. Say, I want to be changing the cost in the market. I want to be making decisions. I want to be knowing enough to can advise companies, to can advise people what to do. The other skill that is there, that is very much needed, is that of a business process engineer. Then, now that they've decided someone must map this, mapping is almost like when you draw things. Step one, do this. Step one, someone is ordering, and therefore, so you map the whole process as a process engineer. Then you identify areas of opportunity, because we know we no longer want someone to go up and down every time to deliver. That's a business process engineer. Then they make it better. Yes, you can do that. If you do it for robotic process automation, the thing about robotics are easier. They mustn't tell you that it's tough to do robotics and coding. My son is in grade 4. He's been doing it since grade 1. It's so easy. Actually, he gets it even better than I did, because I'm actually thinking, I learned this in tertiary, and actually, if you are introduced to it at that age, it's done so well, so much better. I could have understood better. So they are going to turn out way much better. So it's not that difficult. Robotics, the key about robotics is that it's about coordinates, distance. So the reason a bot can be sent to any room to go and deliver, how do you think it knows which room to go to? Because as the business process engineer is mapping this out and working with the solution engineers, that's another one, write it down, solution engineer. A business process engineer, a strategist, a solution engineer, a software developer, or a programmer, they are needed everywhere. Whether it's in the health, whether it's in education, whether it's anywhere. When we go serve clients, we don't say we are only going to serve this kind of client. That's a decision that you can make if you want to specialize. But a programmer can literally choose to be a programmer anyway. They can apply to MTN as much as they can apply to Standard Bank, as much as they can apply to a hospital. So as you think about these courses, think about those things that sets you apart. In-demand skills. Not just things that will box you. Then the solution, they work with a solution engineer, and they shape this thing. And they can see that, okay, the rooms, for as long as we have 200 rooms in this hotel, this bot will be able to know that this room is until this point. The next room is maybe 10 meters, just like that. And a bot knows that very well. That is why we're saying RPA and robotics, they deal nicely with things that are repetitive and they are clear. There's not much of thinking needed. You just tell it. If you tell a bot, go there, take 10 steps, fetch something there, and come back, and keep doing that the whole day. It doesn't matter how many bricks you have there. It will keep doing that, and it will do it quicker than a human being, because that's where it thrives. Then AI comes in then to start the thinking work. So if you look at that, you realize that there's those aspects. Then you see that that bot was then getting into a lift. How does the lift then know that there's a bot that wants to get in? That's where we are using these other technologies, and a bot then speaks. You didn't hear it speaking, but when it gets, it just, there's I'll play the clip again, then you'll see it. You'll see that there's some sensors on the lift. It's not a normal lift like maybe the one that we used here today. It doesn't mean that it should be fully taken out. Maybe it needs to be advanced. So there's some sensors on this bot that is delivering, as much as there's some sensors lift. And then they communicate. When the bot gets then say floor 6, the lift understands that. Remember we talked about IoT and sensoring technologies. It gets in there. When it gets and it doesn't press like we do. The lift already understood. That's when we are talking about the navigating sensors, navigation signs, right? And then it gets out. When it gets to the door, actually I have experienced this. When it gets to the door, what you hear is a knock. And you think someone is knocking, but actually it's a bot. When it gets there, it's part of coding again. It makes that voice that says, you know, like just like your phone, there's different ringtones. Yes, something almost like that. So it buzzes from the bot, and then you get in. That's Internet of Things, another skill that is very important in this age. Are we still together? Yes. Are we still together? Yes. Okay, so that's another one. So you see how many careers we have spoken about already in just one thing. All these skills are very much in demand. Sometimes companies are looking for them even now, and we don't have enough of them. So don't be scared. Go out there, check. I like the fact that most of you are making the notes. Team online, thank you so much, and I hope you're also making some notes. I think at some point when you take the questions, we'll also check if there are some questions or comments online. So those are just some of the skills that are coming out of it. Then we see a bot turning again, going back to its place. But a bot can do that in a very short space of time. Not our mothers and grandmothers who had to now go up and down so many times. And imagine, is that the kind of job you'd want to do? No. And then at this age, we shouldn't be saying these things are coming to take all our jobs. Of course, they will take the jobs of someone who was just doing that. But the other thing that I didn't mention is that there are business analysts who are working, automation business analysts, not just normal one. Also to say, there's something that you call a benefits realization exercise, whereby you map all this process. Let's say for this process, someone has come in. That skill is important. It could be a process engineer. It could be an automation business analyst. That's another one that you're writing down, right? That one looks at this. Let's say this process, you look into things like, how many people are doing this? Let's say maybe the hotel has 3 people who are doing that. How often? How long does it take them? All those aspects are looked into. Are they employed? Yes. What else are they doing? In most cases, what we're seeing is that these people end up doing this mundane work the whole day and tired. But there's a lot of other things that they need to do, but they are tired, they are not balancing their lives well. Then by taking this away from them, they can focus on other things which are not as tiring, not as hazardous as some of these things. So there are factories where things needs to be carried, very heavy things. Have you heard most of the parents talking about their backs being painful? Bots also do those things. So as a thinker, you think about those things to say, at this part of the process, it's hazardous for a person, or it's too fast for a person, maybe we need to use a bot, or we need to, even in manufacturing, so it's up to you. And at the end, I'm going to ask you some of the questions about this so that I can see if you understand. Right? Because you practically think about things where you may need a bot. In engineering, you're going to find a lot of them. There's a lot of books being delivered in school. Sometimes it just takes so long. There's a lot of things that needs to be packed. It could be tiles, it could be those heavy machineries, right? Heavy machineries. Bots are also used there. While other people are working doing other things, especially in the world of lifting things. Very important. There's something that we called virtual reality. Have you heard about it? Yes. I'm glad that you are reading. So virtual reality, in most cases, we use it more for training because pretty much can see. Remember in your biology example, in your biology subject, for example, there's that part where you're drawing the eye, right? But in most cases, you're just drawing it, but you don't really know what's in it, right? You just draw it, that oval-like shape, and you put some dots and you just point the arrows. Virtual reality is able to take you in so that you see it. For those of you who are going into engineering, automotives, you may be wondering, like the ladies sometimes say we don't understand the cars, but some of you may be very much interested in that world. If VR is used, for example, to teach you, you will use it. Actually, you can lift out the battery from that car. You will see where the water goes, where this goes, where if you deal with the brakes, where are they? VR gets you into that world. It actually is one of the best things that can happen to training, and I think in education it must be taken very seriously, because once you can practicalize something, visualize it, it makes it much easier. How many of you are becoming doctors? Okay, there's some good doctors here. I see some good doctors there. Yeah, even they. Brilliant. We do need doctors. We do need doctors, but future doctors, you need to embrace technology. You need to know which aspects are necessary. Even some of you may be nurses. Remember during COVID, we just spoke about a bot. A bot can be used to deliver medication, food to the risky areas. Let's say those people, maybe people who have TB, for example. There's some limitations in terms of contact. There's some restrictions around that. Then when you have your own hospital one day, maybe some of you want to be entrepreneurs, right? Then you use a bot to simply go to those danger zones and sometimes just deliver the food. You are saving yourself. You are not discriminating. They can be checked here and there, but you minimize that contact, like during COVID, so that then you can live longer and save more lives, right? Sometimes we look at it as in like, maybe we're not treating people right. We are treating people right. Actually, now technology in old age homes, some areas I've seen they're using it as well to put it in some rooms where a bot can just have a conversation with an elderly person in an old age home. So as you sit here today, as you sit there online today, it's up to you to, do you know ChatGPT? Yes. Please, if you don't know what ChatGPT is, again, download it and use it for your advantage. ChatGPT is not used to plagiarize, because you'll soon be in tertiary. Some of the people online, even here, are studying. It's not for you to plagiarize. It's for you to make your reading easy. One of the powerful things in the trainings that we're doing is just to teach people how to prompt it. You know, you sit there and say, today I had a presentation about VR. Tell me more about this VR, it's interesting. And then it tells you a few things like, oh, so what can I school? Oh, what should I prepare? And you keep talking to it. It's like a human being, right? And actually, it's got a voice thing now where it can read for you. But it's better to just read. I'll encourage you to read, because it is said that our reading is not as good. It's not only a South African thing, but it's big in South Africa. So let's keep reading more and more and more. But use ChatGPT, go to Google. Yeah, Google is good. It will get a lot of things, but I like ChatGPT because it's very conversational. You can ask it any question. If it doesn't mean that there is a thing down there that says it may not be 100% accurate sometimes. So it's important that you read your books, even as you are studying for your matric. Maybe there's a topic. What are some of your topics? Sorry? Vectors, Newton's laws. Vectors and Newton's law. Your vectors, I remember seeing that thing in grade 11. And if I had ChatGPT, then my life would have been better, right? Because you literally go to it and you say, I am in grade 12, or I'm in grade 11, I'm studying this new thing called, you talk to it the way you want, this new thing called vectors. I am so clueless, explain it to me in layman terms. It will come. You know, teachers sometimes, they can't explain to you your way, but when you're at home and you have the time, you use it. So if you don't know how to use ChatGPT, see me after this. We are going towards finishing. But please engage that, use these technologies. I've already actually addressed most of these things, the jobs. The only thing I need to just highlight is the privacy concerns. The issues around ethics are very important. As we use this technology, we must always make sure that we are doing what we are allowed to do. Different industries have different T's and C's, but also don't take people's information and use it in the way that you are not supposed to. Wherever you study, listen to how they are using data, and don't just take her phone number and give it to this person without her consent. It's as basic as that. Consent is such a big thing. I can't just give you someone's number without first checking with them. Once you understand that principle, it becomes easier for you to learn all these other things. Equity issues, yes, there's those. As we said right here now in South Africa and Gauteng, where we are right now, we know that there's a lot of equity issues because I started touching a computer in tertiary, right? Hearing about a mouse, and thinking about cat, mouse back then, it's a reality. Some of you, do you all have nice computers or laptops? You are very advantaged versus our time, right? It's much better, but there's a child who's watching online who wishes they could just have a desktop, some sort of computer, not even a laptop. I'm not even gonna go to tablet, right? So we need to always just make sure that when we have, we share. I'm standing here today because I know where I came from, and now I know much better, and I have done many qualifications later, and I'm at a better level, even as much as there's still a lot I need to learn, right? But I'm here to impart this on you. You go out there, other kids don't have the privilege of being here, other people don't have that privilege, you share with them. I know you use your Facebook for different reasons, but you can start just sharing a bit about some of these things. You learned today about AI, about RPA, VR, robotics, IoT, and a whole lot other. Business process engineer, business analyst, automation business analyst, strategy. You have 10 good posts that you can do over a month just to educate yourself first and say, last week I went to this and I learned 1, 2, 3. Someone else is watching and then learning from you, and then again, and then again. It's not only about the naked pictures, right? Social media is not only about looking good and makeup, right? It's also about, there are many people who are making, as we're talking about this technologies, there are people who are using it to create content, to do various things, not dancing, sharing real stuff. And companies will come up to you, people will pay you just because you did something different, something necessary, right? So please keep educating yourself. You have all that it takes. The digital skills, I've already touched some of them. Coding, data and analytics. Of course, I've seen that some of the universities are starting to include in their computer science. All I can say is, if you don't know what to do, and you just don't know which course to do going forward, you can do your information technology, you can do your computer science. The thing about those is that if you feel that you just didn't know, you can still then branch into any other field later, right? I can't remember an industry that I haven't worked in. Not because I was a specialist hospital person or a nurse or a doctor or a banker or in the telco space or in the mining sector. All that took me there was some of these things like the technology offering, the innovation world, because we do innovation. The coding world, because all of them need that. So if you ever find yourself at a point where you don't know what to do, don't go and do a course that you don't know about, that you think there's enough HR personnel. Of course, at some point we'll need the innovative one, but you can still get into HR just by later specializing in it and then showing them the the computer science. It's going to be very difficult for you, for example, to go and study what administration and then try to change into something else later. But with some of these things. The other one is the security issues. These technologies, we need a lot of security. You hear a lot about companies being hacked, right? We need bright young minds. The other thing I would just want to leave you with is, if you are grade 11, grade 12, and you have to go to tertiary, and you still don't know what to do, don't rush in. Take that gap year, go online and see some of the offerings. I gave you some of the words, right? Like business process engineer, cyber security, coding, data analysis. Go online. You'll be amazed how many short courses are available. Yes, you are not in tertiary. I was listening to one of the credible radio stations recently, Power FM, and someone from a company came to say, we are looking for cybersecurity specialists who, as long as someone has done some certifications and can show that they can do this, those are the minds we need. Because in the world of tech, things keep evolving very quickly. So your mindset, please work on your mindset. Your mindset is more important than anything else. If you know that today, for example, if you do coding, there's no month that will pass before you have to update something. It's a JDK, is this code, is that. So you need to have that mindset that says, I know we're in a revolution, things are changing fast. Today is 0.1, tomorrow is 0.2. So I'll quickly learn it and assist people. Have that mindset, that's what's happening. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit tricky because you're going to choose courses just because there's space. Please, you'd rather take a gap year than just take any course. There's nothing wrong with just breathing for that year, researching as much as possible. It doesn't make you a failure, right? There are many reasons why people don't go to first year, the very year after matric, but even if you have everything you need, if you're still not sure about the course, please make sure you do that. Thank you so much for listening to me today. The future is just not something to enter. We need to prepare for it. And I think in our slides we saw something about change management. You need to really understand where you are, where you want to go. 4IR is here, is not going anywhere. It's either you adapt, or you remain behind, or you die. These three things you need to choose. It's either you adapt, let's say adapt. Remain behind, die. Where is Nokia now? That was my first phone, by the way. Do you know, and are you fascinated about Nokia, for example, right now? There are many, we can make a lot of examples. All right, we are going to go to the questions. I'm going to take a few questions, and I'm going to the slide where we are. I'm ready to take a few questions. I see. Yes. We had started a bit late. Apologies for the team online. We started a bit late, so we are wrapping up. If I don't see hands, I'm going to choose hands, but also I'll ask the media team to just check if there are any questions online. And let me give an opportunity for a few hands before I randomly choose. Okay, I'm identifying the 3 hands right now, starting with that one, then we come here and we go there. You can introduce yourself and ask a question. Yeah.
It's not me, it's this one.
I can take it.
Okay. My name is Nzalone. So I want to ask on the boat's part, I want to ask on how they intend on saving electricity when the boat can only use the elevator.
Okay. Brilliant question. Thank you very much. He was asking If the bot can only use an elevator, if there's a way to save electricity. The other hand was here. Yeah, stand up.
Hi, I'm Pearl. So my question is like from the boards also. My question is like you said you're gonna replace the boards, people using boards, right? Then what about is it gonna like increase the unemployment rate or what?
Brilliant question. Thank you very much. Let's clap hands for them. As we take the last one.
Hi, my name is Christopher. So the question that I have is, what is the ethical use of artificial intelligence in programming and technology? For examples, we have developers and programmers who are using ChatGPT, for example. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Starting with that one, especially because we have many people who will be studying. Right now, there's something called, the tertiary institutions have something called Turnitin, but there are also other softwares. These things, as you submit what you are doing, they check how much you have copied, right? So remember, there's nothing wrong with learning from different sources, different books, different people, as long as we come in and say, according to Maxter X, this 1, 2, 3. For example, as you are going to talk about some of these things, you will say there was Treasure over there who said 1, 2, 3. It brings credibility, right? So there's no room for that. You can use ChatGPT as much as you want, but if you are going to take everything, not only ChatGPT, even if it's Google, you can check the sources, you help yourself. But the minute you use it's unethical to then take everything and make it like it's you. Some of the technology is also advancing in terms of catching you. But if you use it and prompt it correctly until you get to a certain part, it shows that you were on a learning journey. So by the time you get to the end, it's no longer just someone's work, it's what you work towards. You spend an hour with it trying to frame your own thing, not just to take someone else. So it's ethical to keep prompting it to get to somewhere. It shows that you are thinking when I get somewhere, but don't just take, either it's ChatGPT or not, you don't just take someone else's work. To the great question here about the jobs, right? She's asking, are these technologies coming to take jobs? It depends what kind of job you're doing. I am going to say this, I like saying it. If you're not going to teach yourself what 4IR means, then some people may just decide about you, right? It's very important that you know, even for the people who are online, if you are working and you are a teacher, you need to sit there and ask yourself, how does this impact me? What does 4IR mean for me? If I'm in HR, what does it mean for me? Does it mean because bots are repetitive, they can take my job? Yes, it's possible for us to come in and we will happily automate the recruitment process for you. But is there a room for a human being there? Yes, because we still want to talk to each other. You still want to interview. Yes, even the interviews, there are some questions that you can pre-do through technology without a person's involvement. The powerful thing is, especially because I like talking to young people, teach yourself enough about it to can know what's possible and what you need to do. That's what's important. If you are not teaching yourself, someone else is. And that's the difference then to be chosen versus to not be chosen. Yes, there's a lot of noise about it taking jobs. There is an element of it that's going to take jobs. There is an element, most of it right now, the thinking, transformation takes time. It's going to take a lot of time for it to think to the ability that we have and replace all of us? No. But there are things that are already repetitive. If you put things here and say, "Bot, lift these things," and all you know is to lift things, then it can replace you. But the question is, if lifting things for a long time is so also dangerous for you, what else can you do? Maybe there are other things before the lifting that you can do. Maybe actually you can manufacture things that can be lifted. So let's think in that way as young people. Don't over worry about it. Give yourself information and you'll be fine. There's a question, last one, about the board still using electricity. The way I'll put it for you is companies are very intentional when coming to what means what to them, right? It was you, yes. If a company wants to save some costs, if that's the main thing, and there are, let's say, 5 people, some hotels are big, right? That needs to just deal with room service. It is possible that then they think it's worth it because a person, it's calculating a like for like. If a person is going to go up every 5 minutes to deliver an order, for example, it means that's the same thing that the bot will do. But if a person does it, it's slower. If a person does it, it's slower. I'm thinking company now, right? And there's a body doing it so many times. On the other side, someone may say, "Hey, you were slow," and they complain, customer service, blah, blah. And then you lose a lot. Customer service is very expensive. It costs companies billions. So what then a company will decide to do is, yes, I may lose out on electricity for now. I'll work on another AI initiative that makes sure that if it's only a bot in a lift and there's no people, the lift can go dark. But because if I calculate everything else is a bot, if it's a bot at work, we save billions. If it's a human at work, maybe we just save the money for electricity. So those are the things that's why the boardrooms, people, exco can sit there for the whole day thinking about things. So what is important is in line with what she was asking. Educate yourself. These things are not difficult, right? Please, my last words to you, don't look at them and think they are very difficult. Like I said, I'm from a village. I had no clue about computers, and computers, I'm not even talking these things. I'm talking about just seeing that screen on the table, mouse pad, we had the box. Those were very foreign to some of us. When I started university, that was very foreign to me. But today, here we go. I have worked for some of the biggest companies, running my own, 2 masters with distinctions later, finishing my 4IR doctorate very soon in a few months. But all I'm saying is those it simply means it's possible because I wasn't any better, right? I wasn't any better. I literally saw a white person for the first time in class in tertiary. I was also thinking in Setswana sometimes instead of thinking in English. So you can do it. You look at me, you think, like you are saying it. But because it's years later, I have accumulated over time through knowledge and just making myself teachable. If you do the same, not even the sky is the limit. So see you at the top, right? Yay. When I say see you at the top, you say that's where I belong. See you at the top? That's where I belong. I'm going to do it again, so we're going to alternate it. When I say see you at the top, you say the bottom is too crowded. Right? When you do it again, that's where you belong, right? I want to see that energy because you are going to start with I'm not the situations around me. I know that we all have situations. I had mine, you have yours. That's nothing. If you focus, you're going to win it all and you're going to be experts in all these various areas. So I want all of us to just stand and say, I'm not the situations around me. I'm not the situations around me. I want to hear you. The situations around me. Again. The situations around me. Last time. The situations around me. Brilliant. So see you at the top. The bottom is too crowded. See you at the top. That's where I belong. See you at the top. The bottom is too crowded. See you at the top. That's where you belong. Thank you so much.